the accountants working in those CAS divisions, I think, are having much more enjoyable professional roles where they're working with interesting clients on interesting problems, the bookkeeping's getting done, but actually where they add real value is helping the clients on that advice side. So I actually think it's just been interesting to see that sort of switch in mentality around the tax accountants that have gone into the bookkeeping, client accounting services, and they're just much happier. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with Strategy in the Virtual Controller, where we talk all things accounting, bookkeeping, helping accounting and bookkeeping firms, businesses, really focus in on what they want to do, what they enjoy doing, and build an intentional business and hopefully avoid some of the distractions that are out there. The whole Strategy in the Virtual Controller name comes off a great book by David Maister, Strategy and the Fat Smoker, and a great read if you are looking for one of those business books. Strategy and the Fat Smoker is a great read. But today, Penny, we're sort of coming to the tail end of tax season V1, or the first tax season. How's it been? You sent me an email to say that you've actually had more requests for your bookkeeping services over tax season than ever before. So what's the background there?
Well, we got a lot of taxes we're doing. The tax team is like exhausted, but the bookkeeping team, which typically slows down. So see, it was like, I'm going to stop taking clients, about November of last year. And I made the mistake of taking somebody at the last minute, but it worked out. It worked out. I mean, they got their act together and we got our act together and it all worked out. But then typically, like, I booked time with a family event back 8 months ago. I booked it for this much. And it was like, okay, I can leave by March 18th because realistically, everything that I need to do, track and organize is in the chute. And I have connectivity wherever I'm at. So it'd be minimal amount of my time. Plus, my two people here in the US can handle a lot, right? Jesus, that didn't work out real well. That was like, I was sitting there and I'm going, I'm sorry, to my family, I'm going, ordinarily, I would not be busy this week. And in 8 years, I'm not busy this week. Wow. And I onboarded 2 firms that are going to start April 1st because we'll be done with tax season and our bookkeeping teams should be freed up from all of the corporate stuff. And that is the case. They're freeing up on the corporate stuff, which is not uncommon. But it's interesting that these are companies, they have a traditional CPA firm, which, you do see them trying to do that. And so when they call me, like, I always check out their website first. And like, oh, you really are interested in doing CAS. You're going to keep the books live. You're going to have somebody in there all the time. And in these 2 cases, that's exactly it. These 2 firms, they're like, everything's going to be reconciled up until the end of February.
So that's interesting, Penny. So before you take on and particularly now, given, taking on clients in busy season, you want to make sure that they're good, that they have the potential to be good clients. So you went to their website.
Well, yeah.
What did you see on their website?
Well, one thing, it was much more modern than mine because I don't do shit with it. But,
Moneypenny LLC, ladies and gentlemen, moneypennyllc.com.
There's a whole new one out there, and it's like, it's been waiting for you to finally review it. And I'm going, okay. I don't give a shit. Shouldn't say that, but in this instance, I do go to their website because I want to see what they say they are. Plus, if somebody tells me they do CAS and their website looks like it was built in 2000, they're flipping not doing CAS.
And maybe we circle back to what is CAS and how are firms actually defining it, because I actually think for the first time, firms are being much more specific and much more intentional with what is included in their CAS umbrella, which I think has been a big challenge previously. But so sorry, Penny, let's come back.
I asked them, what do you mean by CAS?
Yeah.
What do you mean? So I'll say, how backed up is this bookkeeping business of yours? And there's more and more of it's really current as opposed to more and more of, well, we've got a lot of cleanup work for you to do. And at the same time, I got this email from out of the blue from a client who's just a consulting client, doesn't outsource with us. He just hires me to go do consulting for him. And we had gone to lunch about a month ago, and he said, I'm buying another firm. I'm probably going to want to now start utilizing you in a different way. And I went, that's fine. I said, and then I said, so what's your application? Which GL are you going to focus on? Oh, well, we're not there yet. And I went, well,
okay.
it's going to be a while then. And then he emailed me. He's probably going to listen to this too, and he's going to know what I'm talking about. But he emailed me something about he had to do something with the QBO file and how much he hated QBO. And he really thinks it's stupid that they're going to kill the desktop and all this stuff. And it's just not as efficient. And I emailed him back and I said, it's funny. Even my team said that when I tried to push them into QBO back in the early 2000s. Well, not too early. 2005 was direct, but, back in 2012, stop looking at this, start getting noticed. And now they love it. They like it over the desktop. So we're going back and forth in email. I'm going, this is tax season. Why are you doing this? And I said, one of the problems you have is controlling the flow of data, the data getting dammed up. And in a desktop file, it's going to, because the client they're not typically the ones, and this is anecdotal, but anecdotal of 35 years experience, that those folks are going to be less likely to be the ones who are going to give you access to the information that you need at the moment you need it.
To get it into desktop, exactly. Whereas in that cloud environment with the API, you connect it once, in theory once, you'll probably have to reestablish those connections at various points in times, but then the data flows. I mean, goes back to—
and then I said, and he goes, well, the reporting's not the same. And I go, well, you know what? You've only looked at an individual QBO file. You haven't looked at QBOA. I know, because you don't know what I'm talking about when I talk to you about it. You don't know about the extra tools we have. And, excuse me, but do you not export stuff out of desktop into Excel anyway?
And what reports are you looking at?
I know, really. I mean, really, come on.
So.
I know what your business is. You're doing basic financials, and I'm sorry, but what's more important? The speed?
The timeliness, yeah.
And the timeliness, or the fact that you don't want to learn something new.
Or the fact that it doesn't have this random report that you go into once.
Yeah, because you've already customized it. Oh, I got another one like that where they refuse to leave because they have all these custom reports already built. Well, you can do the same thing over here.
Yeah.
And you could get a lot better connectivity. And so anyways.
But actually, it's sort of really good point though, because there you've got sort of 3 prospective clients, 2 websites are looking really good there. And the conversations you're having with them are about timeliness and real-time flow of information and technology doing the heavy lifting. And then the 3rd prospective client, you're sort of still trying to get them on the QBO or the cloud bus. And so sometimes it's like that bus has or that train or whatever you want to say has left the station.
Yeah.
So come on, jump on board.
Jump on board. Yeah, I know. So, and then opposite, there's a guy here that for the last 15 years, I've always helped him at the end of the year. It doesn't make any money. He's a coach, and he coaches kids on track and stuff like that. And he does it for the love of the game, but he still has to file a tax return because he has an LLC. And so at the end of the year, he goes, will you just go in and fix all my mistakes? Because I don't know how to reconcile. And so I said, yeah, okay, I'll do that for you. And he's a really nice guy. And so he's emailing me today. He goes, hey, my tax accountant said they couldn't possibly do my tax return because of this huge amount, and ask Dan. And I went, yeah, it's in there because you wrote physical checks and you did not tell me who you wrote them to and what they were for. And he goes, well, why did you do that? And I go, because you're the only one who knows what you wrote it for.
I don't know what you wrote. There's no description. There's nothing.
And so he goes, oh, okay. If I tell you, will you fix it and resend him? I said, why don't you just tell the tax accountant direct? And he goes, oh, he wants you to do it because, that's not what he does.
Or it'll Penny. We're on video now, my goodness.
Goes, well, he's really old and he only does his older clients anymore. And I went, oh, it's a good thing I like you.
Well, at least he didn't say, because he's going to charge me a fortune for it and you won't. So at least that wasn't the response.
No, that was never been the case. You just, it's okay. But there is the full spectrum
Yeah,
of,
yeah, yeah.
of people out there, and it's still that way. And it's kind of like, AI, and AI is great if you're at a corporation where there are defined rules and parameters on how you do everything. Now take a small business, and by small business, I mean 250 employees less, and now go ahead and put all those parameters in that business, and the robots might work. But that doesn't happen because somebody pays something with PayPal, and then they turn around and they write a paper check. And even though you want them to do it this way, well, I was in a hurry, so I used Venmo, and it's like, yeah, okay. Now,
I used a personal card, or I used
oh yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I put that personal expense on my business card, like, so, and that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with this particular world. And a lot of people are still doing very well using the robots to help them
Yep.
do
Yeah,
it
yeah.
faster and better, and to do it with and add their own context. But it was really weird that, yeah, I mean, I'm actually looking at their websites when they call now and going, okay, well, at least they're interesting from that aspect. Now I'll talk to you. That sounds very uppity of me.
No. I think it's a good point. I mean, whether you're actually, as a part of your client selection criteria for an accounting firm, if they're a business and whatnot, should be to go on and have a look at their website, go on and have a look at the business reviews, and see what they say about themselves, see what their customers say about them. So there's no reason why that shouldn't be a part of your actual client selection criteria before you do take on a business client. So I think that's actually a really good point. And again, particularly in this CAS world, where I think accountants are getting hammered left, right, and center by everyone saying you've got to do it. And so therefore, yes, they're taking this first step to say we want to do it, but actually there's a whole lot that has to take place before I want to do it and I'm set up to do it, isn't there? So
that is said exactly that, where the people in the CAS division, actually, there was 3 women in this group, and they actually walked in and said, we're not going to do this if you're going to pull us back into the tax season in the middle of the year, because it's not tenable and it just doesn't work that way. And they have become, and they've got some pretty interesting convoluted clients, and very, but they're doing it. And what they're spending their time on now that they've got their process down, is what they're going to train us on their process. And they do it, after the first Zoom meeting, I'm like, okay, you guys all have your jobs now, I'm leaving, call me if there's a problem. But they've done an excellent job at that. The one thing they lack is really good workflow and tracking. So that's where I've jumped back in, and I'm going to help them with that. But
as you were saying about the 3 team members that were like, we're not going to do this if you're going to drag us back into the tax world. I was just thinking that previously, 5-10 years ago, accountants looked down their nose at doing the bookkeeping for their clients. Whereas the firms that I visit that have these quite good CAS divisions, the accountants love it. They're not doing those crazy tax seasons that they used to do. They're not deadline driven. It's not this mad rush on March 14, March 15. I even, some firms are heading down to the airport to catch the final mailing and all this type of stuff for paper returns. The accountants working in those CAS divisions, I think, are having much more enjoyable professional roles, where they're working with interesting clients on interesting problems. The bookkeeping's getting done, but actually where they add real value is helping the clients on that advice side. So I actually think it's just been interesting to see that sort of switch in mentality around the tax accountants that have gone into the bookkeeping client accounting services, and they're just much happier.
yeah, they are. They're a lot happier. They have better relationships.
Yeah.
And to tell you the truth, the relationship becomes more sticky because of you're taking on, not only am I going to close out your books and discuss what all that means with you every month, but you've taken on the job, and I think this is a pretty decent job to have, is maintaining the apps.
Yeah.
You know what? I've been doing this for you. The biggest problem is you're in the way. Why don't you just let me take this over, and show them how they can track and they can see what you're doing and all that, because they want that security, and that's good.
Yeah.
And then, just let me just do this, because then the only time I'm talking to you is about you, not about what I need from you. So, yeah.
Another example that just here in Australia was an accounting firm. And in similar vein, accounting firms typically look down their nose at payroll, whereas this firm has gone from a very traditional tax compliance-based firm, seeing their clients 2-3 times a year tops, introduced payroll and really focused in on one process, one platform and whatnot. But what's actually happened is they're now seeing they're interacting with their clients on a weekly, bi-weekly, monthly basis, which has actually unlocked a whole host of other things. And actually now they're looking at the client advisory, client accounting services, not bookkeeping and all that type of stuff. But they started with payroll. And again, it's just been this unlocking the relationship. So the partner and the business owner, they're not necessarily meeting every week to run through payroll and all that type of stuff, but someone in the firm is interacting with someone in the business on a weekly basis, fortnightly basis.
Now you're top of mind all the time.
All the time. Yeah, exactly. And from that has opened up a wealth of value add opportunities for them. And that wouldn't have happened in their tax world, where they see the client once for the return, once for tax planning, and maybe another time because of a special assignment.
No, and everybody in the company knows who you are. So when you call, you get right to what you need.
Yeah, payroll. Yeah. You are going to get right to what you need. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh my God, these are the person to make the checks fly. Okay. Yeah. Get them to the boss immediately. Yeah. Yeah.
So Penny, if we sort of come back, so basically you're seeing the demand. So you're seeing the demand for client accounting services in your business more than ever before. Basically, the pennies drop, so to speak, that you can't actually go out and offer client advisory, client accounting advisory services, bookkeeping services, whatever you want to call it, without actually having thought through that, hang on, what happens in busy season? What happens in tax? If we haven't actually set up this business properly, everything that we've done will fall over if we haven't really thought through how is this going to work between
if we're using a tax
2nd
workflow system that is built to do tax returns once a year, it's not going to very well get over into the CAS world, where you're contacting clients for a multitude of reasons. I mean, so there's a lot of different things. And so it was surprising to me that this happened this year. Obviously, it took me by surprise. Well, I was in Florida with family. But it was a good surprise. I mean, it's a great surprise. And you're right about they're not as busy. So like the bookkeeping teams in our office, I can see them logging out when I come up on in the morning. I could see them logging out, and I could see the tax teams. They're staying in for a couple of
They're
months.
still in.
And they're pretty tired when you talk to them on Zoom. And I feel bad for them. And, but they're just getting inundated. And also, we have to deal with the fact that we can see how things aren't load leveling. At least when a client is really good with CAS and the data is flowing through, I mean, it's just easy work.
Yeah, whereas I think the tax thing, if the information,
I don't mean easy in the mind, but I mean
yeah. But watching the work go through, the managing capacity and all that type of stuff. Whereas in the tax world, we are still very reliant on getting all of that information before we can certainly start
and humans
finalizing and getting it to review. So if we don't actually have good process and we don't have those relationships with clients where we're talking well in advance and collecting information well in advance, then you're going to be up against that deadline, aren't you? Are clients, accounting firms getting better at getting that information?
I definitely, yes. I've seen a huge amount of improvement in understanding and knowing that their customers or their clients and customers are aware of this too. So, I mean, like the running coach, he's a one-off. Everybody else is just like, here it is. And in fact, I got a call from a client that asked me to take him on when I didn't really want to. Maybe this way. But anyways, he called me, goes, I think I'm going to hire a CPA. He said he could take care of my bookkeeping. I went, oh, good. Here, let me switch the master rights over right now, because he never responded. So I just stopped. I stopped asking.
Yeah.
I just let it go. I mean, because it's like, something, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And he went to somebody else, and I sat down with my brother and had a beer and watched a game, a basketball game. He goes, what happened? I said, something great. Let's have another beer.
So yeah, exactly. It's something great.
Exactly.
3 hours of my life back.
Yeah, really.
And saved a whole lot of heartache down the line.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think that it goes both ways, that I think that, we want to look for firms, bookkeeping firms, accounting firms that tech savvy, that understand what it is they're trying to sell us.
Yeah.
And follow through with it. And then, but we want clients who understands what we're doing for them, and they follow through on their part too.
I was presenting a seminar yesterday, and it was actually one of the older gentlemen in the room, and he put up his hand and he said, Damien, this has been the second year that I've culled clients, that I've gotten rid of those clients that don't reply in a timely manner. They're slow to pay. They complain about the bill. Geez, I wish I did it 10 years earlier, because it's just freed me up to really focus on those clients that I like, those clients that value what we do. And actually, it's freed me up to get out and hustle, to get out and sell and bring in some new clients. And I forgot how much I loved getting out and pitching and talking to prospective clients. So I think there was his sort of, by older, I think he's got some good years left in him in his firm. But yeah, it was just.
Oh, really? Thanks. Yeah, but that's true. I mean, like, if you go out and you see new clients and you get new ideas, and it reinvigorates you.
Yeah.
If you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you're dealing with the same stressors and you don't feel like you've made any headway. And, that's one of the things that I remember reading this article, probably about 10, 15 years ago, about the new generation of millennials that are very goal oriented, and they want to be told, they want to see completion. They want to see a task done to completion. And I see it with my team when they get frustrated, when they say, it's been sitting there for 4 months and they haven't responded to us.
Wow.
And, but that happens.
Oh, and is that because it's on extension until September 15, and so therefore
No, I'm talking about the old school bookkeeping too.
Right. Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. No, where done the work and it didn't get reviewed for 4 months.
Wow.
And then they come back and they go, why did you do this? And you go, well, let me go take a look at that.
Let me see what I was doing 4 months ago.
Yeah. But so yeah, I've seen that happen, and those kind of clients are becoming less and less. I don't know if it's because we're training them better, or if it's just because I think the accounting industry has morphed in this arena that I work in anyways.
I think you are seeing sort of quite a divergence of firms. You are seeing the traditional old school paper, and there's plenty of examples of that in the US, Canada, Australia. There's plenty.
Surprisingly, yeah.
But actually, we're starting to really see a number of more modern, I guess, modern tech-led, tech-enabled, service-oriented, and those firms. And I think it is a real divergence. And I was at a couple of trade shows and conferences last week, and there is a split in the room. You can see it's not as like left, the cool kids are on the left and the laggards are on the right, but you definitely see the difference between the firms. You see a difference in the types of questions they're asking. You see a difference in their demeanor. And it's amazing to see there are smiling, fun-loving accountants in that room. And then there are also people that are dreading the looming end of financial year here in Australia in June, because it's compliance heavy, it's paper heavy, it's manual, it's clients complaining, clients slow to get information to you. So it's a real divergence, I think, in the industry or the profession. And I think it's an interesting and exciting time. And I know we've been banging on about this for 15 plus years. It certainly
a little bit longer, yeah.
Feels longer.
Well, I remember one time we worked with this guy, Wayne Harding, and I took him out to the lake at Alcoa. We had our boat, and we were out there at the boat club and stuff. And, we were partying pretty good. It was summertime, and had a crew from India there with me, teaching them how to jet ski and swim and all that stuff. And it was fun, but he was a flipping riot. And I'm going, oh my God, you are not the accountant. You're not the accountant I expected. He goes, don't you know what CPA stands for? I said, what? And he goes, certified party animal. But you know what? He was also one of the first accountants I met that acted and thought like that, where it was like, I'm only going to do what I want to do, which what fits into my wheelhouse or my desires. And, you know, occasionally you can do stuff you don't want to do, but if what you're doing is stuff you don't want to do every day, nobody wants to work with you, nobody wants to work for you, and nobody wants to go and take you out on their boat and get wild and crazy with margaritas and jumping off cliffs. So
And I think more that there is so much work out there. There is so much demand for good quality bookkeeping, good quality accounting, good quality tax advice, good quality business advice. There is so much demand out there that, yeah, I guess it's up to you, the business owner, to make that decision about what you want to do in life, and come back to chapter 1 of It's Not Just the Numbers. There's the plug for the book, which you can get over at, where can you get it?
oh,
CPA Treadlines.
Yeah, that's it.
CPAtreadlines.com.
I had to go read.
Yeah. But it comes back to, what is it that you want to do? And I know a lot of practitioners, they started their business and they basically said anything. They said yes to anything through the front door. But again, whether you've been in practice for 20 years, practice for 2 years, now's the time to really think about what it is you want to do when you grow up, as you come out of tax season, what's going to be different. And as I said, I think there's a tremendous opportunity out there to play a much more significant role in a select few of your clients' businesses and whatnot. So I think it's an exciting time.
Yeah, I do. And I think if you have a good, strong team behind you, they give you that space that you can cherry pick what you want to work on. You can always find one person hates to do, another person likes to do and enjoys it. So if you could have, in this world where everybody says nobody wants to work and it's hard to hire people, and, don't make it nasty.
Again, if we think about this divergent path, some firms are finding it very difficult to hire people.
And some firms are not.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the other thing as well is, as you're coming out of tax season, I know you got April 15 still to go, but
except in California.
What's in California? April.
Oh no, we don't even have to file extensions.
Oh, really? Wow.
We're considered a disaster state.
Fair enough.
Because of all the flooding and everything.
Yeah, I was going to say.
My son said the snow, he went up 2 days ago and he just came back a little bit ago. He goes, my God, there's so much snow up there. And he grew up in Wyoming. And he goes, I've never shoveled. So, because in Wyoming, you have to shovel because your truck will go right through the dry snow. But here it's a little wet.
Is that sort of like Southern California, like Big Bear and stuff? Is it? Or where's
yeah,
up to
never rains in Southern California, but when it does, it pours. But Northern California's got it too, pretty much.
Yeah. Anyway, Penny, let's close out there. And actually, I will sort of circle back to one other comment that you made earlier about one of your clients, and they identified and they said, we want to do this. We want to get into CAS, but we're not ready yet. And we've got some work to do internally on defining what it is we're offering and all that type of stuff. So I think a lot of people will tell you, you've got to get into CAS. A lot of people will say that's where all the money's being made, et cetera, but it's not as easy as flicking on a CAS switch and away you go. There's a lot of prep work that has to be done. There's a lot of thought that needs to be given into you defining what, and maybe we'll jump in next episode and talk about how different firms are defining their CAS offering. Because once you've got that, then you can actually start building all the other pieces of the puzzle.
We have a couple of different firms that are kind of doing it in unique ways for them and utilizing some unique tools. So yeah, we could do that.
Perfect. Well, folks, I hope you've enjoyed listening to today's episode. For those lucky enough to be watching on YouTube, I hope you've enjoyed seeing us or not. Anyway, let us know. Maybe not on the reviews, but drop us a line via LinkedIn. You can find Penny Breslin on LinkedIn, me, Damien Greathead, on LinkedIn. If you are looking to find out more about any of Penny's consulting or outsourcing services, moneypennyllc.com, and you can hit me up on LinkedIn as well if you're looking for any help in redefining the purpose of your firm and getting some insights into what other firms are doing. More than happy to help on that front.
All sizes. Damien's got them
And yeah, that's the other thing. It's sole operators up to sort of not big. I have done some work
No,
with big.
you've got some pretty
Yeah.
hefty resume there on that.
Yeah. So let us know what we can do. And if you have enjoyed today's episode, please give us a review. Please give us a rating on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Penny, always a pleasure.
Right.
Really good to see you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.